So I have these 6 drivers that I absolutely cannot get rid of. These are 6 of the best drivers I've ever owned. Everything else I've sold off. I love these drivers. Some of them are old school, some of them are newer. I'm going to hit the simulator now that the season is over in the Midwest. And once a week, I'm going to pit these drivers against each other until eventually down the road, we figure out which one is the top dog. Throughout this endeavor, I'm going to adjust them, make shaft changes, do whatever I can to get the best numbers possible out of each one and eliminate them one at a time. In the end, probably weeks, months down the road, we will know who the #1 driver is for me, and that's the driver I will put in my bag for 2023. These are the drivers that I have not been able to get rid of over the last few years, simply because they are great drivers. The Ping G425 LST, Tour Edge C721, Callaway Great Big Bertha 2015, TaylorMade SLDR 460, the PXG 0211 from 2021, and the Callaway Epic Max LS. So just in case someone is wondering, I use the Spalding SD Tour Ball. It's a 3-piece urethane golf ball. It works really well. It's pretty consistent, and I'll eventually be switching over for testing with the Pro V1 as soon as I get another box in. These are brand new balls, so all my testing on November 14th was done with this ball. First to be tested was the Ping G425 LST at 9 degrees. It has the stock Alta counterbalance shaft and the stiff flex. Next, I tested the PXG 0211 from 2021 with a Diamana S. The Callaway Epic Max LS was tested at 9.5 degrees with an IM10 hazardous green shaft. Then the Callaway Great Big Bertha from 2015 with the Aldila Rogue 60-gram extra stiff shaft. The TaylorMade SLDR 460 set at 9.5 degrees with the Fujikura Speeder TP extra stiff shaft. The Tour Edge C721 10.5 degree driver set at 8.5 degrees with the Ventus red shaft. So my initial testing on the 14th left the 2021 PXG 0211 in last place. My swing speed was just a little bit too much for the Mitsubishi Diamana stiff shaft at 9 degrees. I found this driver to be too spinny. 3308 spin and a height of 113 feet. Launch 17 is not the window I'm looking for. Club head speed of 108, which was, I think, average for all the clubs this day. Only carried 232 with a total of 248. That was just not good enough to overtake any of the other 5. That being said, this is a very solid driver. Later in the season, I played this at 7.5 degrees and got some really good numbers with it. And I will relay those later when we retest this club. So in 5th place, the Callaway Epic Max LS with a hazardous smoke green IM10 6.0 stiff shaft. It's a 10.5 degree head set at 9.5 degrees. This again was way too spinny for me. Spinning at 3763, a height of 116 and a launch of 17 degrees. It just did not fit my swing. Club head speed 108, ball speed 152. It carried 240 and total of 251. I played this driver the entire 2022 year. This was the straightest driver I had at the time. And I did notice on the course that it was a very high launching driver. I just couldn't take it out of the bag because it was so straight. That being said, it finished in 5th place today. One of my all-time favorites, finishing in 4th place, the TaylorMade SLDR 460. I've never been able to sell this driver. I just always keep it around because I'm always taking it back out. This is a hot driver. This is a low launching driver. I've got a Fujikura Speeder X Flex at 9.5 degrees. It's the TP shaft. Carry a 235, total of 256. Club head speed was only 105 with this club. Ball speed 148. However, launch was only 13 degrees. That's optimal. 2481 spin and a height of 85. This vaulted the TaylorMade SLDR into 4th place, and it is the oldest driver in this lineup. Callaway Great Big Bertha 2015, the one with the lightning bolts on the bottom. I played this in several scrambles at the beginning of 2022. This is still one of my all-time favorite drivers. It has an Aldila Rogue Silver 110 and an extra stiff at 60 grams. Carry on this driver was 241 with a total of 258. Club head speed 108, ball speed 152, launch of 14 degrees, spin 2750, and a height of 98. This driver outperformed much more expensive drivers, and I've never been able to get rid of it because it's just solid all around. Shaft is good, the head is good, and it just plain works. A big surprise coming in 2nd place was the Ping G425 LST at 9 degrees. It has a stock Altila CB shaft. That's a counterbalance shaft that Ping produces. It actually works pretty well. Carry a 248, total of 260. Club head speed of 109. That was the highest speed of the day for average in clubs. Ball speed 153. Smash 1.4, launch 14, spin 2547, and a height of 99. Those are all good numbers. This is a very good club, solid, and I'll be anxious to continually test it and see if we can get a little bit more out of it. It did come in 2nd, and surprisingly, I thought it would be 1st. Coming in 1st place on the 14th of November, out of these 6 drivers, Touareg C721. It's a 10.5 degree headset at 8.5 degrees. It has the stock Venice non-Velocor stiff shaft. Carry of 256, a total of 272. Club head speed of 108, ball speed of 156, smash 1.43, launch 14 degrees, spin 2627, and a height of 110. These are all solid numbers. They could be a little bit better, but if you look at the yardage on this, it pretty much killed all the other drivers, and it wasn't even really close. And for the 2nd week of testing, we introduced the Titleist Pro V1. I started the 2nd week of testing with the TaylorMade SLDR. Instead of 9.5 degrees, I moved it up to 10 degrees because this is an extremely low spinning driver. It works a little better with a higher loft. So it had the TP Fujikura Speeder extra stiff shaft in it, which was the factory one at the time. This driver worked pretty good, very low launching, and gave exceptional results. One of my favorite things about the old SLDR is the fact that it has a crack to it. It just sounds great. The TaylorMade SLDR showed a really good dispersion rate. Most of them were over 250 yards and had a good group. Great dispersion. Like I said, the Callaway Epic Max LS, I changed it from the IM10 hazardous shaft to the Tensai Blue AV extra stiff shaft, and this seemed to work a lot better. It brought a lot of that spin down. I love this driver. Played it most of 2022. It's a very straight driver. Greatly enjoyed my time with it. In case nobody knows, it was driver of the year for 2021 on My Golf Spy. Just a solid driver, and I will post up the numbers. Dispersion on it was very good, a high cluster, over 250 yards, most of them, and just a great group altogether. I can't say enough about the PXG 0211 driver. I had to reduce it to 7.5 degrees to get some of that spin down. Had that same stiff Diamond shaft in it, which came straight from the factory. I mean, I only paid $119 for this, brand new from the factory in the box. That's just ridiculous. On price point, I mean, for what you get out of this driver, it's probably the best in the group. That being said, I will post up the numbers of how it did and let you know my feelings overall. Dispersion was not bad. It seemed to hold its own. And I did play it at the end of the year when the fairways got kind of wet. The following is the dispersion pattern for the PXG. They're a little bit shorter than the others, and a little bit left, but a good cluster to begin with. On November 21st, I returned to the launch monitor and I did extensive testing on the following three drivers: Callaway Epic Max LS, TaylorMade SLDR 460, and the PXG 0211. Those were 4th, 5th, and 6th place in the initial testing. After the secondary testing, the Callaway Epic Max LS moved into 1st place out of those three drivers. It had a carry of 251, a total of 266, clubhead speed 106, ball speed 154, smash 1.44, launch 15, spin 2839, and a height of 113. Great numbers. It improved immensely once I put the Tensai AV Blue extra stiff shaft in it, and it was still at 9.5 degrees. Coming in 2nd place on November 21st was the TaylorMade SLDR 460. It had almost identical numbers to the Callaway Epic Max. It had a carry of 245, which was just slightly shorter. Total of 266, which was exactly the same. Club speed 106, ball speed 153, smash 1.44, launch of 13, spin of 2503, and a height of 89. This driver held its own. The only reason I put it in 2nd compared to the Callaway was the carry was slightly higher on the Callaway. Other than that, numbers were almost identical. After the secondary testing of the final place 3 drivers, the 2021 PXG 0211 came in last place. It had been reduced to 7.5 degrees to help out with the spin numbers. Produced a carry of 238, total 253, club speed 106, ball speed 152, smash 1.43, launch 14, spin 2564, and a height of 93. Good numbers. This would be a great driver for somebody who has a slightly slower swing speed than me. I might be able to put an X shaft in this of some type and have it fare a little bit better, but unfortunately I'm eliminating the drivers that I currently have, and this one came in 6th place. Saying goodbye to the PXG 0211. It's about to be boxed up and shipped out. Invoice that was included. We'll show you the specs. I'm going to ship it out on eBay when it sells. This was a great driver. I played it at the end of 2022 when the course was pretty wet. Set it at 7.5 degrees, and to be honest, it just really needed a different shaft for me. I like Diamantas. The S Plus in this just wasn't enough shaft for me. It was a little too spinny. And then there were 5. These are the 5 drivers that survived. In my next video, I will eliminate another driver, and we will work towards that #1 spot for 2023. Just to set up some of the initial parameters so everybody knew what was going on from the beginning. The first week, November 14th, I hit about 15 to 20 balls with each club. That's why I hit 6 clubs in the whole initial testing. Normally I would only do 2 to 3 at a time to get better numbers, but this was just to get a baseline number for each club with how it was set up currently. After that point, I was going to make adjustments. I hit 15 to 20 balls with each club. I rotated them after hitting 5 balls at a time all the way through until they were done. These are where we took the initial numbers from. Starting week 2, which November 21st, I started doing 3 drivers at a time, starting with the bottom 3, trying to eliminate the last place one from that point on. At that point, I was hitting 20 to 30 balls with each driver to get statistically more solid numbers. I can't just go and hit a driver, 5 balls with this one, 5 balls with that one, and go, which is best. I really need to adjust each one. I put different shafts in, change the lofts, whatever I need to do. On one driver, I even changed the grip. This was just to find out which is the best of the group that I have for me. So after the second week of testing, we eliminated the first driver from the group. Thanks for watching.